Hi there, my name is Robin Baker, and this is A Stay of Fitness in Orange County, California. And first off, I want to say Happy Mother's Day. A couple weeks back, put up on my Facebook social media asking if people would be interested in doing a workshop about kids and body image, specifically to my mom friends, mainly because I've gotten in the past couple years or so, since a lot of my friends, including myself, have become a mom, questions regarding, how do we dress food with our kids? How do we talk about their bodies in a way that isn't going to be harmful? And the same types of questions kept coming up. So I really thought it would be interesting and possibly helpful to hold an in-person workshop. But I know some people that answered that social media post are also not local. They don't live in Orange County, they're out of state. And I also wanted to make something that was of service to them as well. So this is what this video is all about today, and I am hopefully releasing this on Mother's Day, so that you can all enjoy this as my little Mother's Day gift to you. So I narrowed it down to like three main kind of questions or points that I seem to get more often than not from friends, from acquaintances that know what I do, when it comes to being a mom, being a parent, and your kids with their body image, with food, with weight, all of that stuff. So really the overlying statement that I came down to was, I want my kids to love their body, but, and there were three buts that kind of jumped out at me from just past, conversations and other things I've received through social media. So I want my kids to love their body, but I don't want them to be fat. So that's number one. Number two, I want my kids to love their body, but I want to make sure that they still eat healthy. And then number three, I want my kids to love their body, but I feel like I'm messing it up all the time because I don't know what to say about their growing body, about their body size, and all of that stuff. Right? We always feel like we're saying the wrong thing. So this is what this video is all about. So the first point is, I want my kids to love their body, but I don't want them to be fat. And this is a very, very complex, so many layers to this point and so many layers to this but, right, when it comes to children loving and accepting their bodies. So first off, I want to say, that it's totally understandable that you don't want your kids to be fat. Our culture does not praise fat. In fact, there's a very insidious amount of fear of fat in almost every single kind of cultural background, almost every single cultural background. There are a few that don't fear fat. But a lot of industrialized and westernized cultures really shun fat. Fat is looked as bad. So if you've grown up in this area or anywhere that is like a first world country, chances are you have been told that fat is bad, that it is bad to be fat. So size discrimination is real. In fact, studies show that size discrimination is just as prominent as discrimination against race. So, and we don't really talk about size discrimination that much. It is that pervasive in our culture and in our society. So our culture portrays fat as so many negative things. I would get into them, but I really don't like perpetuating them, but you can imagine, right? So fat is a negative thing to be. Our healthcare system, the way health looks at fat is also, it's bad, right? It's unhealthy. And I can tell you, so many friends of mine, so many clients of mine have gone into the doctor for different ailments, and typically the doctors advice is to lose weight. And sometimes it's something that's completely unrelated to whatever symptom they're coming in for. So fat is really shunned, it's really stigmatized, it's discriminated against. There's a lot of stigma that surrounds being fat and living in a larger body in our culture. So because you have grown up in this soup, it makes complete sense that this is our mindset. This is how we view larger bodies. This is how we view fat. It's not a judgment call on you, and it's not a judgment call on anybody that you talk to that believes this. This is what we know. So, something that you really need to understand about fat is so much of our size is out of our control. How big our bodies get, how small our bodies are, how tall we are, how short we are, the size of our feet. So much of this is genetic disposition. Our genetics play a huge factor in the size that we're going to be when we grow up. One of the podcasts I listened to once, and I cannot remember at this point, they said if you took 100 babies right when they were born and from different parents, right, and you fed them the exact same food over a span of 10 years and there was no difference in any of their food intake, do you think all these 10 babies would grow up to be the exact same height, the exact same weight, the exact same, waist size, foot size, hair length? No, right? Because our bodies come from different backgrounds in different parts of the world. Our ancestors, right, have a huge influence in how our body is shaped and what we look like. So we can't expect everyone to fit some cookie cutter shape and size in a way that's healthy for them. So, we have to really understand what is in our control when it comes to fat, right? What is our own perceptions on fat? Because the way we think, we speak, our energy around larger people, around the topic of weight is really going to influence your child more than you can imagine. So your relationship with fat and people in larger bodies is going to be the most important thing that influences how your kids see fat, right? So fat is not something to be feared. Unfortunately, our culture has brought us up to think this because of how we see society and other people treat people in larger bodies. Unfortunately, this isn't going to change anytime soon. I wish it would. I'm working really hard to hopefully make this change, and I know a lot of people that are doing the same thing. But the diet and fitness industry and weight loss industry, I should say, is a $60 billion industry, and it's only increasing year after year after year. So because this is a huge industry that makes a ton of money, it's not going away anytime soon. In fact, weight loss companies are getting even sneakier about how they're marketing to younger people, aka Weight Watchers, offering free memberships to teenagers for the summer. And they're also going after, clean eating, which is really a synonym in the most part. I know there are certain other times when it's not, but for the most part, clean eating is synonymous with a diet because most people eat clean with the goal of losing weight or changing the physical appearance of their body. So here's the thing. You can't expect your children to have a better relationship with fat or with their body if you don't, right? We can't expect our kids to have a better body image or not be scared of fat or accept their body more than we accept our own. We really have to model this. And like I said, kids pick up on everything. They know when we're BSing them. They know when we're not really fully accepting of our size and our shape. So really, this comes down to your own internal work, not only on your body, but on your perceptions of fat and people that exist in larger bodies. So the second point, I want my kids to love their bodies, but I want to make sure they still eat healthy foods. So again, very multi-layered or point that we're making here. And there's many kind of things I want to address with this piece. We really want our kids to be healthy. Why? Because we want them to have a long life. We want them to have a full life. And if their body isn't operating at its best, highest quality or function, it's really difficult to have a good quality of life. And I totally get that. That's what I mean, right? That's why we take our kids to get their shots, or maybe not, or we do the things that we do when it comes to medication, staying away from medication. We all have our very individual approaches to health. But I think a lot of people are on the same boat with food, right? We want our kids to eat, quote unquote, healthy food. So the assumption that goes along with this is that if you love your body and you're part of the body positive movement and you're accepting your body at whatever size it's at, right, that somehow this involves letting yourself go. And I say that with quotations because we can all imagine, we all know what that means, right? Oh, she's let herself go, meaning she's not taking care of herself in the way that we have been told you take care of yourself, right? You stay the same size, you look appropriate, you do the quote unquote socially acceptable things to maintain your appearance, all of that stuff, right? So letting yourself go and the body acceptance and body positive movement are two completely different things. And I don't even know what this whole letting yourself go thing is, to be quite honest, right? If people want to make a choice that they want to let their hair go gray, that is their God-given choice and you have no reason to comment on it. If people decide that they don't want to use anti-aging cream because they want to celebrate their wrinkles, then that is their choice. That has nothing to do with you. Stay in your own lane. So I'll get off my soapbox on that. So first off, with health, right? We want our kids to be healthy. And yes, nutrition plays a role in health. However, health itself is very holistic in nature. That means that yes, food is important. Exercise is definitely important, but there are all these other pieces of health that come into play that can affect our overall well-being and our overall health. How much sleep do you get? How much stress do you have? Do you have a good social life? Do you have close friends that you can confide in? Do you feel that you are living your authentic life? These are all parts of our overall health that are so important for our well-being. However, it's not really addressed in the amount or with as much importance as to, did you eat kale today? And so this is really something to really pay attention to when you're thinking about health and your children and your own, even for that matter. So another point with this is that, yes, we want our kids to love our body, but we want our kids to eat healthy. Something to really acknowledge and accept is that a lot of what our kids eat, especially as they get older, is out of our control. I can speak with complete honesty that sugar was very limited in my house growing up. However, I could go up the street to my neighbor's house. I knew I was getting Kool-Aid. I knew I was getting fruit roll-ups. I knew all of the houses that had the sugar had the good stuff, right? So kids will find a way to break your food rules and get what they want to get. And this even gets down to that, right, forbidden fruit aspect. If we are so controlling over our children's food, it sets them up to have a very difficult time or a difficult relationship with food, and even a harmful relationship with food. What typically happens when we restrict is we binge. If we think, okay, I'm not going to have carbs, I'm not going to have carbs. Eventually, because your body does need carbohydrates to operate on a optimal level, yes, this is true, you will eventually binge on carbs because the signals from your brain that's telling you to eat carbs, I need it, gets too overwhelming, and then we eventually binge. So what really precludes a binge on a food is a restriction of that food. So if you're playing into this as a parent and you're restricting this food, you're really teaching them how to set themselves up to binge and have a very difficult relationship with food. So I really, the forbidden fruit thing is a really important thing. This really comes down to allowing your kids to have a say in what they want to eat. This doesn't mean they get it all the time, right? If my son wakes up in the morning and says he wants a lollipop for breakfast, I say, okay, let's eat maybe some other food, maybe a sweet food for breakfast, but let's save the lollipop maybe for later, because I know he's going to have a sugar crash. It's not that I'm telling him he can't have the lollipop, it's just probably not a good idea for breakfast because he's probably not going to feel very good. And this leads me down to how you feel. How do you feel when you eat your foods? So teaching your kids intuitive eating. And if you really let your kids kind of do what they want to do, kids are born to be intuitive eaters, meaning when they're full, they stop when they're full. They'll tell you when they're hungry, they'll stop when they're full. I'm sure you've had that experience where you've tried to feed your daughter or your son when they were babies and they will not eat anymore. Like you're shoving that spoon in their face, eat another bite, and their jaws are locked. They will not eat anymore. So they have that internal signal that says, it's done, I'm done, I don't want it anymore. Yes, I loved it a minute ago, but I'm full, I'm done, I'm shutting it down. So kids are born that way. We as adults really mess it up. So letting your kids just dictate how hungry they are, how full they are, what they're hungry for. This is what intuitive eating is all about. And if you want to learn more about intuitive eating, just Google intuitive eating. You will find many resources. And I highly suggest you check out Evelyn Triboule's book on intuitive eating. It's the original book on intuitive eating if you're interested in learning more. And finally, the third point. I want my kids to love their body, but I feel I'm like messing it up all the time. I'm not choosing the right words. I don't know what to say to them about their body growing bigger or not being the size that they want it to be or whatever, right? So this is really important, right? So many schools of thought when it comes to how to talk to your kids about their body, about their growing body. So I really want to step back and look at, because language does matter, this is true, but I really want to step back because like I said, there are many different points of or schools of thought on this. The underlying intention for this concern, right, from whatever parent, it's that we love our kids and we want the best for them. So no matter what your opinion is on what school of thought you come from about how to talk to your kids about their body size or when to talk to your kids about their size or not to talk to them about all, right? It all comes down to that we love our kids and we want the best for them. We don't want to see them unhappy. We don't want to see them suffer. We want to see them living full lives. We want to see them enjoying their body and, you know, doing everything that they set their goals to be. And we just love them. So, yes, language matters. It is important to choose your words wisely when it comes to talking to your kids about their body, because even if you have the thing is too that you may choose your words wisely and you may think you're saying the exact things that you need to say. However, if it's just on the surface level, right? If you're just saying these words because you read that this is the best way to tell your kids, but you don't really fully believe it for yourself, right? Like I said earlier, kids can see through your BS. Kids will see it. They know when you're not fully telling the truth, you don't fully believe it, because why? Actions speak louder than words. So I could really go on all day about the right words to use, the right phrases to use with your kids. The thing is that every situation is going to be just a little different. I can give you rules about how to do that, but it's really going to come down, and that's kind of like, right, giving you a fish instead of teaching you how to fish. So honestly, it really comes down to doing your internal work on yourself, on your own body image, so that you can model it. Because like I said, actions speak louder than words. The way you behave around food, around clothing, around mirrors, around people that are maybe you perceive as better looking than you, and the comments you say or the energy you put out, that is really going to affect them more than anything you could possibly say to them in a one-on-one conversation. And this really requires some deep internal work of your own. So this really comes down to doing your own internal work on yourself. which, yes, it can maybe be easy and it could also be really difficult. It depends on who you are and what you've been through in your life. Um, Accepting yourself and accepting other people and celebrating diversity of bodies is something that we as a culture are not quite used to yet. So chances are that a lot of the stuff I'm talking about right now, maybe it's irking you wrong way. Maybe it's really touching on something that is difficult to grasp, or maybe you feel relieved. Maybe you feel like, yes, I'm so glad someone's saying this, and I really, really want to do this work. I want to be there for my kids. I want my kids to be able to not think about that they can't do certain things because of the way their body looks. So if that happens to be you and you happen to be in the Orange County area, I would love to invite you to a in-person workshop that I'm planning on holding at the end of June. And I'm hopefully going to have it on a Friday night. I'm thinking it's the last Friday of June, which is June 30th, I think. So if you're watching this and you really want to come and be a part of this and do your own work for yourself so that you can show up for your kids, so your kids don't have to feel like they're alone in this, so that you can be their rock, you can guide them through so many of the body issues that they will inevitably face as they get older and go to middle school and high school and beyond. If you want to be that person in their life, I highly encourage you to come to this workshop. I will be posting more details on it later. And I hope to see you there. This is really important work that we have to do for our kids. It's all about them so much. And right, this is Mother's Day. Yes, we're celebrating being a mother, but we're only a mother because of our beautiful children. So thank you so much for joining me for this. And again, if you're interested in this, you can always email me at robin@intuitiveexercise.com. Or you can check out my website at Astea Fitness and look under events, and I will be posting information on it there as well. So thank you for joining me, and happy Mother's Day. I love all of you beautiful, strong, courageous mothers. Good job. You are doing a good job, Mom. I know we don't hear it that much, and I want to tell you that. You're doing great. I love you, and I'll see you later.